disgusting how hot it is.
I'm sorry, but we have air conditioning now.
Yeah.
It's Mediterranean
But
climate.
you know it gets worse than the Caribbean. I come from the Caribbean, and it's
from the Caribbean. It's getting worse. You are from
Honduras.
Oh, you'll give us some information about it very, very soon. Anyway, now we have the second group. And the second group, you will see that we grouped in terms of topics. David, you focused on gender and sexuality at the University of Calabria. Then we have Claudia with how social assistance organizations of Cosenza support the rehabilitation of people with problems of adaptation in our society. We have Lorenzo with New Sport Policy in the city of Rende. We have entrepreneurship in Calabria. And we have the Piaci Economic Development in Calabria. So what is the umbrella term? Calabria, after all. So now we will be giving you. We will be starting with Lorenzo. Just a few minutes, Lorenzo. If you can give us, yes, your idea and the outline of your research proposal. Then you will have a second chance to go into details. Come on, Lorenzo.
My research proposal main objective is to study the rehabilitation of infrastructure in the cane in the city of Rende. Because I think that sports have the power to eliminate the discrimination racial, to help poor boy, to help boy or girl with drug problem. In the city of Rende there are many sport facilities that are in the cane, and many space where we can promote the sport or the sports for the creation of a center of aggregation where the people can living in peaceful as a community, as a very community, and promote many valor as valors as health, many values as the youth that create a community very much a unit community. And for the direction of my research is to rehabilitate the infrastructure and give this infrastructure to association of people that's living in the city.
Thank you, Lorenzo. We can stop at this point. We know your idea and we know your motivation, your aim. We will get to know more in a very little time. Entrepreneurship. Obviously, you're moving to a different sector. You are considering Calabria in a global way, but maybe the objectives are very similar. Giuseppe, if you can give us your...
Yeah, my research is about entrepreneurship in Calabria, obviously, and my research will be carried out through a cultural lens. What I mean, I will try to understand how culture, namely attitudes, intention, values, can affect the entrepreneurial activity in Calabria. Why I chose this topic? Because I studied that there is a correlation between an economy that is based on entrepreneurships and higher levels of GDP. So the gross domestic product in a nation, and the gross domestic product or the per capita income are related with the quality of life, as showed by a sister company of the Economist intelligence unit that created an index called Quality of Life Index, and they figured out that there is a correlation between the growth and the quality of life. So we know that the Calabrian environment is hostile to carry out a business, but I think that probably there are some cultural constraints. So through research on the field, by collecting primary data, I will try to find out if this is true.
Thank you, Giuseppe, for this picture on your motivation that you gave us, and the background, and also a first hint that you're giving us in terms of objectives that you want to reach. But we will be back to you. In the meantime, you're also considering economic development in Calabria, and you call it patchy.
Yeah.
Why?
I call it patchy because in Calabria there is an heterogeneous development, especially in the tertiary sector, about services and tourism. So my research proposal is focused on the study of the relationship between economic development and organized crime. In fact, there are a lot of natural resources in Calabria, like lakes or seasides or beaches or mountains that are not plenty used. In fact, in this context, there is the organized crime that with the capitals, the intimidations, and also hidden policies try to maintain the powers and try to be a puppet states here in Calabria. So my research proposal was born during a travel in the city of Diamante. During this travel I observed a hard change of the service and the structures used for the tourism. In fact, I saw that in cities like Cetraro or Paola or Fuscaldo, there aren't good structures for tourism and also activities. But in the city of Diamante there is a good reality.
Yes.
This situation is linked also to the data that we know. In fact, in the former cities there are a strong presence of the organized crime, while Diamante is like a happy island. Yeah.
She's happy. She'll go to the Okay.
And I will try to explain my research proposal because this topic is not a topic that is always undertaken. In fact, there is a difficult topic because the organized crime is hardly linked to the Calabrian culture, especially the Calabrian culture of the people. It's very difficult also to collect data because also the Minister of Interne of the Italian states said that there is a hard difficulty to collect raw data to use to explain this problem.
And you will show us how you will be dealing with this with it later on. Now we get to, from Andrea, assistance organization of Cosenza, so we get back to the area, a smaller area, Cosenza, and rehabilitation of people. Can you tell us your...
I'm going to prepare a research project about the no-profit organizations, and in particular of Cosenza. I want to relate the no-profit organization to the social aspect like the possibility of the non-profit organizations to improve the social aspect and the rehabilitation of people with social problems, such as people with social problems as people with several disabilities or family problems, or immigrants that suffer of discriminations. And in particular, and my aims are to discover the method to improve these no-profit organizations, in particular because several authors that I read and explains that the no-profit organizations is less competitive than the profit-making businesses. And on this way, I think that the no-profit organization have a social values that is maybe the superior to respect the economic sphere. And I want to stress the importance of the relations to the economic sphere and to the social aspect. And I want to do this research with two types of methodologies.
We'll get to the methodologies very soon. As the other students did, yes, it was. You gave us this an overview of your idea and the context. Where you want to move your research, carry out your research, and thank you. And from Claudia, from Cosenza, we're moving to the University of Calabria. And David is focusing on gender and sexuality. In what terms? Can you share with the others?
It's, well, for me it was quite a different experience to come to the university campus, and specifically to notice gender and sexual relations between the people that live in the campus are different of whatever I was used to. So for me that was part of that's the whole justification of my study, seeing all this relations, interpersonal relations, as completely different here with Calabrian people, and how we learn a lot from the Calabrian experience in that sense. So yeah, it's basically based on that, on those small details and experience I got from parties, from going to mensa, from going to the bar, to going to lessons, that you really get the construction, the construction of gender identity, the roles of women, of men, and how they interact, how, like for example, fidanzamento, the boyfriend-girlfriend relation is completely a different thing here in the university, and specifically in the region of Calabria.
It would be good to know in what terms, yes, in practical terms, yeah.
It's a complete institution, having a boyfriend or a girlfriend here. People have very long relations. you meet people that met in high school and came to university and have the same person, and probably will marry that same person. So it's very based on a very traditional conception of family. And for us foreigners, it's completely different. Specifically for me, it was different
yes.
because I'm not, but I'm a little older than my classmates and most of my friends in university. So I see things from a complete different perspective. And for me, it was interesting to see how those relations are built among them. So that's basically the justification for them.
That's interesting. We will want to know then your style. You'll tell us. Thank you. I think it's enough. We know the motivation. We know we will get to details in a second with David as well. We get back to sport policies in the city of Renda. Lorenzo, so you're definitely thinking of people. I like the idea that you're thinking of people who suffer, who have problems, and you want to create, you want to support them. So motivation is absolutely.
I think that people welcome as a good idea my project because I think that sport and sport association and social association in the city in the last year are in decline. Decline.
Now, what research design are you planning to adopt?
My research, I used to carry out my research.
You will use.
I will use 40 interview to professor, engineers, architects, important personality of sport that living in my city, and interview face to face, where the people that are interviewing, that I will interview, debate with me and give me your opinion, because these people are experts in this sector. As an
No, don't worry.
it's okay.
It's background music in this. It's a soundtrack for
And
you.
these people give me your opinion because are expert in this sector, and give me important ideas that for.
So will be mainly, you said, the 40 interviews, qualitative kind of research design, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What expectations do you have for your findings?
I think that with this work I receive the many propose to create a very great form of social aggregation, and to help the young people and poor people to have a high level of life in.
So you're searching for
because
other
I think
ideas,
that
for other ideas.
in the city that would have a high level of life, the sport is more important for the values that sport can give to the population.
To the population in general. Yes, thank you, Lorenzo. We get back to Giuseppe. Here you're asking, one of your 3 research questions are: how do successful enterprise survive and flourish in Calabria's sustainable environment? So you have this pessimistic and optimistic view integrating with each other. Can you tell us more about your questions and the answers that you expect to find and the research design in general?
Yeah, my questions, or the question that I will use to carry out my research, I will carry out both quantitative and qualitative research. And in the quantitative research, I will ask 2 questions to a sample of students of the University of Calabria. I will email this question to 140 students divided for each department. And I will ask, do you intend to carry out or to pursue an entrepreneurial career after your graduation? And if you intend to carry out or to do business in Calabria or abroad or in another part of Italy. And why I'm interested to carry out the research, because my expectation for my research, and I would like to be wrong on that, is that the majority of the people that I will interview probably will answer that they will try to find a dependent job, and probably they unfortunately probably they will have no idea to start a business, idea of a specific product. I have this idea, I will try
Giuseppe,
to...
what is your final aim? If you, let's imagine that you, your findings will be what you just mentioned, so what you just pictured. Then your final aim, do you want to have a message with your findings or encouragement for young people?
Yeah, it's an encouragement, because if I will succeed in find that in Calabria there are some successful enterprises that was able to carry out a business here, maybe the message is possible to the business.
Right.
So we have to try to carry out our ideas if we have some.
Okay, I was looking at your research, at your literature review, just to see. You mentioned several professors in your department. So I have the impression that these kind of topics are covered a lot in your degree courses. I see Marini, I see...
Lanza is from Business Administration department.
Okay.
Marini is from my department.
That's right.
Yeah, he teach a course that is called Theory of Economic Development, Theories of Economic Development, and there is is about is also about culture, how culture affects economic development.
And now just a question out of curiosity: if you have to mention, if you just mention a company that succeeded in Calabria despite being hostile.
I don't know yet, but I heard about a company in Calabria that produced, I don't know how can I say it in English, clementine.
Okay, the tangerines. Yeah,
And
there is no translation for clementine, I believe.
Yeah, they realized that the business doesn't go very well, so they decide to produce a juice with clementine.
Okay.
So they created a new product, a new way to deliver this product, and they succeeded. Because
Lovely. Is it possible?
I
that
don't
it's
know.
something
I
not-
don't know.
I
I have to find out.
Although clementine, I usually collect it in
Yeah, this
different
is a
area.
typical product of our region, and
Sure.
and now they sell this product also abroad, so they succeed in what they try
Okay.
to do.
Find out and let us know. Thank you. We'll get back to Andrea. Research design for you, Andrea, and research questions.
Yeah. The research design is based on the interviews. Interviews made to that I will make to 5 entrepreneurs that have already a business here in Calabria, and 5 entrepreneurs that want to make business in Calabria. I will use the semi-structured interview because it's necessary for the interviewed to have a lot of time to answer to my questions, because it's a dangerous argument, a dangerous topic, and it is also necessary a hidden interview, an anonymous interview, because the data will be more true and sincere.
Sincere.
Yeah.
Authentic.
Authentic, okay. And my research proposal is obviously linked to research proposal of Giuseppe, and give to us an optimistic view of Calabria, because to solve the problem of the heterogeneous development in Calabria and to reach the homogeneous development in Calabria, we need cultural reverse. Like the famous lawyer Giovanni Falcone said, organized crime is a social phenomenon, and like the all social phenomenon tend to end. So it's a hoping view, this, and it is important to give a lot of funds to school.
In
and
fact, here you're mentioning that the state should intervene, activating structural funds
yeah,
to revitalize the places the most decentralized places in Calabria.
yeah. The state must be present here in Calabria. The institutions not be
So the state
mustn't
must not. Okay.
must not far from the citizen.
Okay.
If the
So
distance
the state, but then at the same time also the personal ideas can also, and ideas in practice can also be supportive for
Yeah.
the Calabria economy.
the presence of state is must not be far from the citizens. So if there is an ocean between the institutions and the citizens, there will be a puppet states here. That there will be the organized crime here present in Calabria, and the organized crime will guide our economic development in a bad way, obviously.
Obviously. I think we can stop with you. We'll get to Claudia. Thank you, Andrea. Research design in your case and research questions, or vice versa.
I think that for me it's better two types of methods. A quantitative methods based on statistics that shows participation of volunteers in organizations, because the volunteers are the core of these organizations, and also a qualitative methods based on face-to-face and semi-structured interviews. In the onlus, because I want to see the work that they need, and also I want to ask to people.
Do we have
between
many onlus in Cosenza?
Yeah,
Yes.
I talked about in the research proposal of La Spiga, Stella Cometa,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that are the main that I know. And also I want to ask to people between the 18 and 14 years old, because are no simple thing to ask from me, and for probably
Your expectations. Your
uh,
expectations.
I think that through this research I can contribute also to the question that is linked to the several problems that we suffer in this time and in this society. The unemployment, so the discrimination, because immigrants always earns a basic wage that is a symbol of mistreatment.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give my contribution to this team.
Okay.
Contribution.
Okay. Thank you, Claudia. We'll get back to David. David, I have a very detailed question, and then obviously you will also tell us about your research design. Here you're mentioning within the university there are different organizations. You mentioned the religious. You mentioned the Canterbury Club. Are you talking of the university in general or the University of Calabria?
The university in general.
In general.
In general,
Okay.
yes, like a
Because
common sample.
I was kind of surprised because I never heard of Canterbury.
No, but here you have
Canterbury Club.
like very, very grassroots religious, Catholic and yes, and evangelical church.
For example, okay.
Both,
okay,
both of them.
Okay.
Well, the Catholic you have
That's
there,
right, that's right.
the capilla, and evangelical, because I know a lot of people that come from, well, going to the main part of the study, to discuss the methodology, basically we have here two ways of sampling the population. One is Calabrians and one is non-Calabrians. And we're a minority in university, but we're the ones that live in the campus.
That's right.
So it's quite important because university in a certain sense is completely isolated from life in the city. And it's interesting to see that synergy and how it works between us, the locals in the campus, us foreigners, and local Calabrians. So yes, that would be the first part of the sampling, would be describing the foreigners and the Calabrians. And in that sense, I would need help of the sociology department, from the gender studies department, and the welcome office, which have statistics and basically a common knowledge of the statistical database of how much women, men, and how much
What
from
is your
every single.
final objective, David?
My final objective is just to be able to present a different overview with theoretical background, with a real theoretical database on gender and sexuality relations and conceptions in people that come to university. And in that sense, like for example, I don't know if you've noticed, but when Erasmus come, when Spaniard girls come, they completely revolutionize sexually the university. So those things, if people are able to know, it's true. And
No, but even the way how they the colors is incredible. No, I
so yeah, how sex and gender affects.
No, I appreciate when you're saying it's like two different communities. Very recently, I saw a video that is being publicized, disseminated on YouTube, and it shows international students here on campus. And then my very first comment, but if you remember, I commented a lot on that in class. My very first comment was, it's a beautiful video. Yes, no, for sure. But then, except for one guy and two dogs, they were all international students. So what does it show? What do you picture looking? That it's a wonderful community, but they live on their own. And even the video, even through the video, you
we are locals here, and it's very different.
So you're the
No, we're locals. You're the tourist that come to my realm, to my kingdom, and.
But not in class. Not in class because here we at this point we move into not in class because we had the chance in class. We had so many. Not so many in political science, but in my other class, the business English class, I always encourage the international students to talk about their cultures, their economies, economic system, etc. And I've always experienced a very nice interaction between the locals at this point and the international. But yes, but integration is an important aspect that we should. And by the way, I will tell you something at the end of the exam. It's another something. Now, David, if you have to pick up one of their proposals, which one did you find very interesting? Why?
Because of my own conceptions of Calabrians, I would choose both
okay.
the organized crime and entrepreneurship.
Okay. Okay.
Because they're very close.
Absolutely. Giuseppe, how about you? Which one did you find?
Probably the research, the David's research.
Because
it's very interesting. When you said that here the couple is an institution, it's very interesting point, and I would like to know what you think about that. What is the difference between here and your country? Because you come from Central America country, so we have the idea that Center and South of America have a similar culture of with a,
especially southern Italy, yes.
Yeah.
So
This is
why
a
you
common-
said that
common
it's
view.
strange to
Well, it's
this is a
it's
question. It's not a
strange.
comment.
It's strange. It's strange because, like, I'm a sociologist, so everything I do before coming to a place, I really made my research before coming here. I knew what I was going to expect from the university on the academic sense. I knew what I was going to expect from the society. I knew, so I was not surprised by that. But when I came here and see young people act based on so traditional matrix of values and of conceptions, and how roles and genders, for example, how everything's based on mamma. Yeah, mamma. And when mamma's not, it's not home, it's the fidanzata that takes that space. Like, for example, I was sleeping home and the custode got to my home, and he got, my coinquilino in that moment, got with all his family, his grandma, my new coinquilino. He brought his whole family, like even his grandma and his girlfriend. And his girlfriend and his mama cleaned the room for him. And it was, I was just shocked. Like, okay, when you're 23, you cannot be doing that. I couldn't conceive it. So for me, it's a sense of independence. It's a sense of values and a vision of life. And here, the boyfriend-girlfriend constrains in the sense, I've seen it with my friends. I haven't had an Italian girlfriend. I've had from other places. But it really constrains in the sense how much time it takes, how much part of your life that becomes. And when you're 14 and you're turning 23 and you have 10 years of your life with one same person, my God, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you lost a lot of opportunities of learning other stuff. Like, and it came really based on sex and on gender. There's this article I read on La Repubblica on casual sex in Italy, and Calabria had no data. They were having fun up north and in the middle. Calabria had no data. No one wanted to speak of casual sex in Calabria. So for me, a university is a place for having casual sex, for example. And it's impossible how we don't hear about that. Even going to a discotheque, even speaking to a girl is sort of complex. And my friends say, like, okay, if you come to my paese, please don't speak to girls because you're gonna get killed.
No.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
No.
It's funny. It's
Surely
funny.
not Dinante. No.
So that for me was very, very funny, very interesting.
you know
But
why
that was-
I spoke about cultural
Yeah,
constraints.
absolutely.
Claudia, do you want to react? Maybe
No, it's true.
some aspects are true,
Some
but
aspects.
yes, some aspects are true. Then,
Not all.
No, that's what we're
Yeah,
going to
it's not-
investigate.
no.
That's what we're going to investigate.
Not so traditional.
This is why he wants. Yes, investigation will be important. I actually think that you should carry out your. Now, this was a research proposal, but maybe in your future courses, or if you have the chance to apply in the future a PhD school, I think that you should consider again these topics because all your topics are topics that we appreciated. Okay. Class, and then we're done. One thing that you liked in class, the course is so strange, so short in terms of hours, but we really hope that we gave you the tools to keep on studying on your own. Studying in your case, I would like to use the expression practice. rather than studying. Practice your English. What kind of tools do you have? Self-study, some extra materials, supportive materials. What would you suggest? What did you like, or what did you learn from class, if you learned something?
I think that the course is interesting, but you si può dire lei come si dice?
Absolutely, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't
You
worry. Constraints.
can speak with the department and
For more credits. No,
for more hours.
that's
You-
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because
Successor.
Yeah,
it's difficult to
absolutely.
learn
Yes.
and speak English with 20.
It's 24.
24
Yeah,
hours.
you obviously had.
The site of class is very interesting.
You liked it. I'm glad.
Because
We
it's
worked
an
so
instrument
much
with
on it.
you learn and
You can
practice
practice a lot.
to arm.
Even with the other groups, we talked about English hours, language hours in general. Giuseppe, in your case, anything in particular that you liked? The videos, maybe the CMC project.
Yeah, the interaction that we had in the class, I think that it's very useful to learn a language. But what I like most is the insights that we received on how to carry out our research, because the university didn't give us these tools. So I think that it was
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Because it is, as I said before, an authentic task.
Yeah.
And in fact, I mentioned the PhD school. If you apply to PhD school, especially the one within your department, the requirement is a research proposal. It will be in Italian, but if you already have the tool, you can perform in English, you should transfer your competences from English into Italian this time. And it was a few years ago that I noticed that the people who had applied were not able to write a research proposal because, once again, nobody had, these are academic skills, academic competencies that in a magistrale you have to improve. Thanks for mentioning this. Well, I mean,
Okay. I agree with Giuseppe, and I should add that it's necessary to increase English hours, and because
I will go tomorrow.
the
I will go
self-study
tomorrow with your
is
videos.
not enough.
That's right.
The interaction
It's
with
an encouragement.
yeah, it's an
but it
encouragement,
can be,
but the interaction with with teacher, with other classmates, it's important because only with practice we can improve our English.
Claudia?
Yes, the hours, there is the needs of more hours, and also the video. I enjoy the video. And,
Which one in particular?
The dance sketch.
The dance sketch. Oh, yes.
I think that's
yes.
real.
Yes. Very sweet.
And
Very
through
sweet.
the video, I think that I have to improve very well the listening.
Listening is important. This is why I know that students sometimes are reluctant and they look at me very too difficult. But if you never start, you never have the chance to realize how important it is. Yeah. In your case, more than going to class, you traveled. but anyway, you did some self-study. What did you like?
I did. I basically had a TED Talks frenzy. I enjoyed TED Talks that you posted on the club page.
Okay.
The music, the songs. I like Leonard
And
Cohen.
then that's not a club, but it's very. You attended the seminars about World Environment Day. Did you like it?
Yeah, those kind of activities are interesting because they allow us to, like for example, learn about Calabrian ecosystems and habitats, and so it's really nice.
Anyway, exam is over. You perform very well, all of you. We will. No, you keep it just in case. Sayuri and I need just a couple of minutes to decide on your level. But take advantage of what David just mentioned. This activity that he participated in last week. I think it was last
In
Thursday.
fact, tomorrow they have another activity that Mr. Dignazio is doing with Latin American studies. I'll tell you right now.
Ah, it's a seminar. It's a seminar, I believe.
Yeah, it's about the problem of conflict. Is no. It's il pluralismo integrativo in America Latina, la dialettica agonistica nei rapporti tra livelli giurisdizionali.
So this is
2 days.
Juridical studies. There are several people who, professors and scholars, who just arrived from Southern America. But what I want to encourage you, very soon, actually, we will send you. We will post information related to another Unica Creativa activity, and it will be international students. And these international students who I met already, and I will be meeting again tomorrow, will be offering very soon conversation classes, no money, volunteering, it's just volunteering, conversation classes in Russian, Turkish, Spanish, Iranian language as well. So many. We will have look at those the sign Unica Creativa, and probably the 18th of June we will be inviting through Barbuto's office all the international students. So please come. But we need you. We need the locals, or we need the others, because it will be one of those actions that we want to encourage. We're starting in June, July, just for a few classes, just for a launching of the idea. But then it will be carried out in September, October, etc. But the idea is, okay, conversation classes, but integration between Italians and internationals. It's absolutely important. Okay? Thank you. Ciao. Thank you to all of you.